Hello, I'm Tamsin Lejeune from Common Objective. I'm the CEO and founder. Particularly fair trade and ethical production changes lives. So it's amazingly motivational for a team. I think in the last few years and last decades, and increasingly in the last 5 years, we've seen much more of a focus on the environment, which is fundamental and important, but the impact on people of fashion has been overlooked. And ultimately, fashion changes lives when done well. It can be absolutely transformative. A recent study by the World Fair Trade Organization has found that businesses that operate to fair trade standards are more resilient in a crisis, in challenging times. And with Common Objective, we did some research post-COVID, which found that businesses that worked to fair trade and ethical standards were more resilient. They survived better, and some of them increased their sales through the most difficult times of the pandemic. I'd start with product first. So find your product niche. The story won't be enough. I founded the Ethical Fashion Forum back in 2005 and have seen hundreds of really inspiring brands and entrepreneurs who are seeking to build businesses that make a difference. Many come from non-fashion backgrounds and come in with the ultimate primary goal of changing lives through the business, finding the product niche in what is a very competitive environment in which you are competing against businesses which have no intention to operate to ethical or fair trade or sustainable standards, and in a global environment now because of the internet. Secondly, I'd see your supplier as a partner in your goals. So find a supplier that shares your vision and will help you to move towards it. Perna is certainly one of those. It can also mean thinking outside of the box. It's increasingly more easy now. You can join Common Objective and find some amazing suppliers on there. But we did some research and connected with suppliers in Bangladesh through the World Fair Trade Organization. But that wasn't enough. It was a higher end product. It needed to be made to higher quality standards. The quality needed to be as beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside. So what I did is I connected with suppliers, asked around, built a network in Bangladesh, found a studio that produced for Ghost, the brand at the time. And we built a partnership with the fair trade suppliers and that studio so that I was able to get the quality and the beauty of the original artisan, being more confident as to what kind of expertise I could bring around me. Many talented people who want to get on board with making a difference. This is where operating to fair trade and sustainability standards is a real asset. You can bring people in through a board who will commit lots of time and energy, and these are people who have years and years more experience than you could ever gain in the areas that you need. So be bold in who you reach out to. And finally, be focused. Of all the success stories that we've seen in my 2 decades of work in this sector, it's been the businesses that are really focused. And that's hard. I mean, Steve Jobs said great design is about what you say no to. So it's about picking and knowing your market. So starting with the product niche, going back to that product first. We've been fortunate to have an important partnership with Made 51, which is a product platform of the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR. So through that project, the mission was to bring in mainstream fashion brands to integrate fair trade practices for what they do. And of course, as Common Objective, the platform for sustainable business, we already bring together 28,000 businesses, many of whom are smaller SMEs who've begun their journey right from the beginning with a focus on fair trade and ethical best practice. So a couple of examples to share with you. Vivienne Westwood is a business we've worked with for many years. We're introduced to the ethical initiative with International Trade Center working with artisans in Africa. They've now been successfully creating bags with slum dwellers in Africa. Absolutely transformational for those groups and communities, but also it's a beautiful product A lot of it was to do with the culture and the team at Vivienne Westwood, a really creative culture, but creative problem solving. So rather than seeing challenges as barriers to success, they see them as opportunities. They see them as an exciting design challenge, something to get your teeth into. Everything as part of that. How can we use design and good ideas to get around this challenge? The way they went about it fitted with the ethos of the brand. Uniqlo has worked with Made 51 very successfully for quite a few years now. It was to do with creating a product that could work and aligned with their goals. So they did a series of accessories and a keychain which were produced, designed in Uniqlo colours, well made, very simple. It aligns with their ethos, it aligns with the way they sell and produce. They've been able to build into it teams from Uniqlo who work across all different sectors, and the feedback we've had from the Uniqlo teams is that this is the best thing they've ever done. With any larger brand, there has to be a business case. If there isn't a business case, a lot of larger brands have launched sustainability and ethical initiatives that are highly subsidized, which is negative in a number of ways. If a major high street brand, and all of them have subsidized their sustainability collections, that makes it very difficult, even more difficult for smaller brands and medium-sized brands to compete with a product, because the consumer becomes even more used to not only buying a mainstream product at lower than the original cost, but expecting a sustainable product also to meet that. If that product is losing money, it doesn't have any scope for longevity. And that's why often we see these small collections which are stunning, running out, selling out within a few days, not being replenished. If that was a lucrative product, it wouldn't make sense for that to end. So I think it's finding a way for there to be a business model within the business that makes sense for it. An example of a successful one is Topshop, one of the very first to integrate an ethical fair trade product with made jewellery. And that was a junior buyer who instigated that. So it wasn't somebody with lots of experience. It was just somebody who was really committed and cared and felt this was important, was relentless, went there and understood the product, wanted to integrate something that would make them feel comfortable with their role within Topshop, did the research, looked at the options, connected with maids, connected with the founder, understood how that could fit in, managed to get that onto the shop floor. It sold for a decade. That was a successful product on Topshop floor, which is a huge achievement. Always the same. It's matching competition on price and quality, finding that niche and maintaining that niche in an environment that's fast moving, where you're competing with businesses that are producing products that that don't attempt to be ethical, use materials that are much cheaper, when you have a consumer who is used to a fashion fix. So I think it's getting the product niche right. I think legislation is key, and it is exciting that we're seeing legislation coming in now, both in the EU and the US. So working towards better legislation, I think that will make a difference, but not fast enough. At Common Objective, we're partnering with the UN and a number of UN bodies because we see an opportunity for business done better. A platform incentivizes better business. If you're not operating sustainably, you don't get as many customers, and if you are, you succeed. And I think those are the kind of mechanisms that we need to see happen. If anything, I've seen the way that individuals can make a difference. Huge difference. Committed, dedicated, energetic people working and collaborating together can change things. Don't underestimate what you can do, whatever your role. Optimism and commitment take you a long way.